shall we begin?
Let the games begin.
All right.
A new age has begun. An age of freedom.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Get to the chopper!
This is going to be quite a ride.
And hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Movie Pit Podcast. I already messed this up. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Movie Pit Podcast. I am your host, Christian Renteria. This is, of course, the Movie Pit Podcast, where we talk about all the big breaking movie news items of the week, along with the trailers that came out this week and the movies that are out in theaters and streaming for all your viewing pleasures. It's been a while. I apologize for that. I don't know. One of the weeks, I haven't done the podcast now in 3 weeks, something along those lines. I apologize for that. Last week I was sick. The week before I was taking care of my family members who were sick, and then I ended up getting it because that's just my luck. Thankfully it was just, the flu. It wasn't anything else. Tested multiple times and all times came back negative. So thankful for that. But yeah, got sick last week. Week before that, I was taking care of my siblings that were sick. And then the week before that, I just didn't have time to properly do a podcast and edit and any of that stuff. So I'm back this week. And we missed a lot of stuff. Obviously the Oscars and stuff and the slap that everyone is still still talking about. Yeah, we're not gonna talk about any of that. I think everything that could have been said about that situation has been said already, so we're not gonna talk about that. But yeah, we're gonna get into the movie news items that came out this week. Still a pretty decent week, a good decent week to come back to movie news wise. So let's just get right to it. Of course, we're gonna get right to it as always with trailer talk.
Coming soon to theaters.
So first, there was a new trailer for Bob's Burgers, the movie, that comes out on May 27th, and I'm already excited for it. So I watched it. Just expanding on what we've already been given and stuff like that, and a few new scenes here and there. But I'm already excited for it. I mean, they can bust out these trailers every now and then I'll keep watching them because I'm looking forward to it. Big fan of the show, big fan for the movie, or looking forward to the movie. So there's that. The A24 did release a trailer for Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. This is a full-length movie based on the 2010 4-minute short film. The original team behind the short, director Dean Fletcher Camp, will come back to direct the movie, and writer and voice of Marcel is Jenny Slate. She will also return. Joining them are Rosa Salazar, Thomas Mann, and Isabella Rossellini. The short debuted at the AFI Fest and won Best Animated Short. Then went on to Sundance in 2011, where it gained a bigger fan base and critics alike. Finally went to the New York International Children's Film Festival and won the Grand Jury and Audience Awards. So obviously a lot of backing for the movie already, and now we're getting a full-fledged thing. It looks cute. It's an A24 movie. I don't really expect it to go, full on A24, and it's an animated, not animated, it's kind of like stop motion too. So I'm looking forward to it. I don't want to give too much about it. I mean, it starts off interesting. It looks like he's shooting a documentary, and then, it gets into some more shenanigans along the way. But, yeah, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On is the full title for the movie, and that will open on June 24th. All right, so let's get to the news. The runtime for Jurassic World Dominion may have been revealed earlier this week. Reports are saying that the movie will run 2 hours and 26 minutes. And with this runtime, this does make it the longest Jurassic Park / Jurassic World movie. All of them usually run over just a little bit over 2 hours. I think the longest one was probably the last one, like 2 hours and 6 minutes or something along those lines. So they don't usually go over 2:10, to say the least. With the exception of Jurassic Park 3, which is the shortest of the series, that ran at 1 hour and 32 minutes. So pretty much doubling everything here for this one. I mean, it makes sense. You're combining this new trilogy of the Jurassic World movies, and then you're combining, bringing in the characters from Jurassic Park, the core characters, the legacy characters, as that term has been now been used in Hollywood. So it makes sense that it would be a little bit longer of a movie. It's dinosaurs. It's the cast. It's the original cast. It's this new cast. A wide array of new dinosaurs and old dinosaurs and dinosaurs in the real world, stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. Jurassic World Dominion will open on June 10th. So I mean, it doesn't really matter how long it is. We're going to go watch it, right? I mean, we're all going to go watch it. Another runtime that was revealed this week was the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. The movie, according to Fandango, revealed the movie will be 6 hours. Wow, 2 hours and 6 minutes. That's, although I'm pretty sure people wouldn't mind that. But no, the movie will be 2 hours and 6 minutes. The movie will open on May 6th. I believe tickets already went on sale, if I remember correctly. So yeah, there you go. That's another runtime for you guys. I believe it's a little shorter than the first one. I think I forgot to look that up, but I did read somewhere that this is the shortest movie since Captain Marvel to come out in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Anyway. Next movie news item, Craig Gillespie, the director of I, Tonya, Cruella, and the upcoming sequel, and episodes of the Hulu series Pam and Tommy, will direct the adaptation of the New York Times best-selling novel, The Antisocial Network, by Ben Mezrich. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. The book is about a group of amateur investors, gamers, and others who took it to Wall Street when they bought up all those GameStop stocks. Yes, this is about the GameStop stocks ordeal. I think this movie was first mentioned back in January. MGM, which doing the movie, bought the rights to the book last January, literally a week after the actual story came out, and the book came out, and then MGM bought up the book. Producing the movie will be Michael DeLuca, who produced the other book that Mezrich wrote, which was then turned into The Social Network. So the Antisocial Network makes a lot of sense. So production is expected to begin late this summer, early fall. So we'll probably be talking a lot more about this, especially now with the director in tow. So there you go. And a big time producer, Michael DeLuca himself. So that's pretty cool. Famed director Nancy Meyers has made a deal with Netflix to produce, write, and direct a new ensemble comedy. This will be Meyers' first full-length movie since 2015's The Intern, where she took a break from the industry after that, saying that she just needed a break because the industry was changing at that time, and she didn't know where she belonged, but looks like she's back. She did come back briefly in 2020, during the pandemic, of course, where she and Netflix released a short film called Father of the Bride Part 3-ish. I guess that was the title of the movie that she made, which brought back the original cast of the first two movies, the Father of the Bride movies, and then brought in Robert De Niro and Florence Pugh, which I didn't actually watch. I saw it was there, and for whatever reason, I haven't watched it yet, and this reminded me that it was there, so I'll probably have to give that a watch. Anyway, Meyers' other credits include fan-favorite movies like The Parent Trap, Something's Gotta Give, The Holiday, What Woman Wants. She did write and produce the Father of the Bride movies, hence why she was involved in that. No word yet on what the ensemble comedy will be about, but Meyers has a obviously very good track record. And like I said, she's one of the famed directors. You want a romantic comedy movie, and you need a solid name behind it. Nancy Meyers movies are one of those, one of the many of those movies. So, next movie news item: Scott Miss Cudi, aka Kid Cudi. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Apologize if that's not. Kid Cudi, we'll just call him Kid Cudi from now on, has joined the action thriller Silent Night, which is coming from director John Woo, who is making his comeback to the American cinema, which is very, very cool. The movie already has Joel Kinnaman set to lead the movie, which follows Godlock. Yes, that is the character's name, Godlock, played by Joel Kinnaman, who is a, quote, father on a mission to revenge his young son who was tragically caught in the crossfire of gang violence on Christmas Eve. Shot and nearly killed while in pursuit of the murderers, Godlock vows to avenge his son by any means necessary. Cudi will play the detective Dennis Vassell, who I assume is probably following the case or on the trail of Kinnaman's character. Silent Night is currently filming in Mexico City. They do have a few Mexican actors a part of the cast, obviously, and early reports said that the movie will be, quote, without dialogue. So if that is the case, that's going to be an even more interesting movie to go watch. Definitely going to put that on my list of anticipated movies, because a John Woo movie with no dialogue and just, straight up action and, of course, and, human emotion, I think that could be really cool. I just watched Hard Target the other day, and I remember how, extreme and loud John Woo movies can be, because I haven't watched a John Woo movie in quite some time, so that's gonna be pretty cool. Release date, no release date has been announced just yet, but potentially sometime next year, since they are already filming. Like I mentioned, the movie did have an accident. They were doing a practice for visual effects and a stunt, and someone got injured. It wasn't anybody from the cast, but someone did get injured. It won't delay the movie at all, but obviously if someone's getting injured during practicing of stunts, this movie's going to be pretty big and pretty heavy. So hopefully, obviously, a fast recovery to the person who was injured. But yeah, they're already filming, and I'm looking forward to it. It's John Woo. I mean, how can you not like John Woo? And he's coming back to American cinema. He's been away for quite some time, so having him back is always going to be really, really cool. And the big movie news item of the week, at least for me, at least the one that got the visceral reaction, pardon me, Hollywood is once again set to reboot The Crow, and they have found yet again a new director, writer, and lead. Directing the movie will be Rupert Sanders, who has directed Snow White and the Huntsman and Ghost in the Shell. The script is being written by Zach Balan. I don't know where Wilson came from. I think there is a writer named Zach Wilson. But this is written by Zach Balan, who wrote King Richard and also did the script for Creed 3, which is also currently filming. And leading the movie, well, that would be Pennywise himself, Bill Skarsgård. He will be playing Eric Draven, the lead, and singer-songwriter FKA Twigs will also be joining the movie. She joined earlier this week. She will be playing the fiance role. She's mainly a singer. For those who don't know who FKA Twigs is, FKA Twigs. She's mostly a singer. She did have, I'm assuming, a small role. I haven't watched the movie. I've been meaning to watch the movie. Honey Boy. She's credited as a Shy Girl, so I'm assuming it's only kind of a little small role in there. But I guess this would be her first kind of real feature film. Now, I'm bringing that up because the fiance role, obviously, in the 1994 movie, which we'll get a little bit more into, she dies pretty early on, and she's not really a character, not really. But this is a, quote, modern reimagining of the movie. That's the approach they're taking with this movie, and she would be the character, the fiance character, will be a co-lead, whatever that means. I don't know. Maybe she doesn't die, or maybe she does die. But the Crow is a representation of her. I don't know what they're gonna do, but she's a co-lead in the movie, whatever that means. Now, of course, The Crow itself, for anyone who's not familiar with it, is based off an indie comic by James O'Barr that came out in the late 80s, and then, of course, got made into a much talked about and much loved 1994 movie with the late Brandon Lee, who himself was fatally shot after a prop gun malfunction or a mob hit, depending on who you ask, on set right around the ending of filming, and they had to obviously do some stuff to finish filming. They did some tricks, obviously, to finish what they hadn't done with yet. So Skarsgård, like I mentioned, would be playing Eric Draven in the movie, who is a man seeking revenge for the murder of his fiancée and himself when he is resurrected magically and is connected to a crow. So this movie is currently in pre-production, so it can start filming in June, from the reports. And while they're filming, they're going to be filming in Prague and Munich, but there is no release date given for the movie yet. I mentioned that this movie got a visceral reaction from me because I don't care anymore. I really don't care anymore. And I'm sure, in fact, I know I am not the only person that does not care about this movie anymore. There has been so many starts and stops to the remake, reboot, whatever they want to call it, of The Crow. It's not even funny. There has been so many attached directors and writers and even studios. Let's just name them all, because that's how long they've been working on this thing. I literally went back and looked at everything, and I was able to find everything. Seriously, 11, 12 years they've been trying to make this thing, and they haven't done it yet. So Stephen Norrington, the director of Blade and The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, was involved at one point. I think he was probably one of the earliest directors that was attached when they first started thinking about remaking this, and never panned out. But in 2011, Juan Carlos Fresnadillo, who directed 28 Weeks Later, that's mostly what he's known for, he came on board. And get this, he had names like Bradley Cooper, Mark Wahlberg, and Channing Tatum all in talks or in early negotiations to play Eric Draven, but that project eventually fell apart. Then, in 2013, F. Javier Gutierrez, who directed the Spanish film Before the Fall, he also directed Rings, the third Ring, the Ring movie, which was not very good. He came on board to direct and had Tom Hiddleston attached, or at least in talks for the character before he left. And then another Skarsgård, Alexander Skarsgård, circled the role, before Luke Evans officially signed on for a few years before that version got canned as well. Now, this version, the F. Javier Gutierrez version, was said to be closer to the actual comic, with one report saying that it was going to be a shot-for-shot version of the comic, which, by the way, the comic and the 1994 movie, very different in respects. I mean, the tone and everything, the backbone of the story is the same, but the way they go about telling the story is different. But the one that stuck, that people thought was finally going to happen, was when Corin Hardy, the director of The Hollow and The Nun, he also directed episodes of the series Gangs of London, he came on board twice. The first time was in 2014, and he was only known at that point for The Hollow and a few music videos that he had directed as well, or a handful of music videos that he directed. And he left the project for a bit before coming back to the project in 2017 when Sony Pictures took over. Now, I say when Sony Pictures took over because the rights to the movie were a little complicated. So the Weinstein Company had them, and then Relatively Media came on, also fought for the rights. So they went into a lawsuit. Relatively Media won, and they got the movie, but then they went through bankruptcy, and they had to sell the rights to The Crow and a bunch of other movies as well to, pay off their debt, and that's when they sold it to Sony Pictures. Anyway, the 2014 version, the version that was still at Relatively Media when Corin Hardy was first attached, that version had Jack Huston, who at the time, and I think even now, is mainly known for Boardwalk Empire. He was also in Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. He was also Ben-Hur in the Ben-Hur remake. So he was So he was going to play Eric. And then that same version, Forrest Whitaker was in talks to co-star. And the big one, and this is kind of the version that was going to change things up, Andrea Riseborough, who I first met, and I think most people probably first knew her from Oblivion, which was the Tom Cruise movie. She was in that. She was also in Nocturnal Animals, Battle of the Sexes. I think most people now know her as Mandy, the Nicolas Cage movie. She plays Mandy herself. But she was in talks to play the villain, Top Dollar, who in the 94 version was played very excellently, by the way, by Michael Wolcott. He was the main villain in the movie. In the comic, he's not the main villain. Just FYI. If you want to go back and read the comic yourself. Top Dollar, not the main villain of that movie. He wasn't in the comic. He was in the movie, main villain, but not in the comic. Anyway, so she was in talks, I think she was still in talks to play the villain. And that version just, again, didn't work out. Relatively Media going through bankruptcy, they had to sell off the rights, and then there you have it. So there was a few years where the Crow remake reboot was on hold. And then, again, Sony Pictures comes into the mix. They buy up the rights. They set up the project again in 2017 when Hardy came back to direct, and he managed to get Jason Momoa to come on board. And Jason Momoa and Corin Hardy were set. They were so set. They did everything. They did the makeup test. They did concept art with Jason Momoa in the Crow makeup. They were on location where they were going to film. And then in 2018, when they were literally, I think, just about to shoot, both of them left over financial issues between one of the producers and Samuel Hadida and Sony Pictures, because they couldn't agree on money, of course. And Hardy left, and Moa left, and that was that. And now we're here again in 2022 with Rupert Sanders and Bill Skarsgård attached. So yeah, that's 11, 12 years of Hollywood trying to get a remake of The Crow back on the big screen. And I just, again, do not care. Will I watch it? Yeah. I'm most likely going to watch it because that's what I do. I could sit here and complain about movies looking bad and the long history of movies on the back burner and finally getting made and starting and stopping and starting and stopping. And I'm still going to go watch them. Will it be good? Who knows? Sanders behind the camera doesn't really get me excited at all. It doesn't really excite me whatsoever. Snow White and the Huntsman was fine. It was a beautiful looking movie, visually great. The rest of it was just okay. And Ghost in the Shell, we don't talk about Ghost in the Shell anymore. We just don't talk about it. I'm not going to hold my breath to see if this finally gets made, because Hardy and Momoa were literally on location, like I mentioned, as they were about to film, and then everything shut down, production-wise. At this point, I don't even care if they remake The Crow, because who knows if they're actually ever going to shoot the damn thing. If they do, And this is the version we get with Rupert Sanders behind the camera, who has taken a Snow White story, who has taken one of the biggest animes of all time, and I'm not going to say butcher it, but, have, fans against it from the very start. Nothing against Bill Skarsgård, nothing against FKA Twigs, who I, again, have not seen act. I really also don't really know her music that well, so I'm probably the bad judge on that. But as for Bill Skarsgård, I mean, obviously Pennywise, he knocked it out of the park. Everything else he's been in, relatively small in terms of, how much he can really, at least from what I've seen him in like little bit parts. So I'll probably have to be on the lookout for something where he's kind of like the lead, or at least has a bigger role that's not like 10 minutes long, where he just comes in and disappears. But I don't know, man. I really don't know. I think, visually, Bill Skarsgård, yeah, fits the role of the Crow. But this thing has been going on for so long. If it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, I don't think we lose anything. I know Alex Parias, the director of the first movie, very much against Hollywood remaking The Crow, because he thinks it's disrespectful in terms of respecting, or that it would be disrespectful to Brandon Lee, who, of course, like I mentioned earlier, passed away while filming the first movie. And is that the case? Yeah. I mean, yeah. I want, again, unless it would be disrespectful, yes, if they made it and it was bad. But if they made it and it was good, I mean, I can kind of see that, maybe not being as disrespectful. I don't know. I mean, Alex Pariah said that like back in like early 2010s. So I don't know how he feels now. I don't know how James O'Barr feels now. I don't know if he's connected to the series, this recent incarnation. I mean, he was with the other versions, especially the early Corin Hardy versions. He was really behind that one. It seemed that he kind of gave the stamp of approval for what Corin Hardy was going to do and what Jason Momoa was going to do. But I don't know if he's connected to this. I know Edward Pressman, who was one of the producers, he's been attached as a producer. He's been attached to that the early days of Relatively Media as well. And then when they switched over to Sony Pictures, he came aboard with it. So he's still attached to produce this movie as well. So he definitely wants this thing to happen. I don't know. I mean, do we need another Crow movie? Do we need a Crow movie at all? I don't know. Honestly, like I mentioned, I just don't care. I really don't care at this point. Like I'm like the cautiously optimistic guy when it comes to projects like these. But at this point, I don't care anymore, because it's just one of those things where I can't let myself get excited for this, for it to get shut down again. And I just, I'm over it. So I don't want to, crap on it, but it's hard not to crap on it when you've seen everything. And I laid everything out for you guys. Like when I first started really paying attention to the movie news and like started following it, the Crow movie was one of the first movies that I read about. Like all this stuff, like I remember reading all of this stuff when it first came out. And it's just, I mean, I was probably reading movie news before that, but it was around when this started coming out where where everything started to stick with me. So I know how long they've been working on this movie, and I know it's doomed. It's doomed to begin with. I'm not saying it's cursed. A lot of people say that the first Crow movie was cursed, but this movie it's doomed. It feels like that. And again, I'm not being negative. I don't want to be negative, rather, to this version, to what Rupert Sanders and Zach Balan and Bill Skarsgård can bring. Maybe they'll knock it out of the park. I hope they knock it out of the park. I don't want to go and sit down and watch a Crow movie that's bad. Like, I don't want, if I wanted to do that, I can go watch the straight to DVD sequel or straight to video sequels. But it just, I don't know. I don't care anymore. I really don't. This is, if you're going to do it. Otherwise, just stop. Let it be. We got one good Crow movie. Let that be enough. All right. Let's move on. I really didn't want to be negative on a return to the podcast, but you know what? Sometimes that's just how it works out. All right. Moving on. Let's move on to the movies that are coming out in theaters and streaming for all your viewing pleasures.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
All right, let's talk about the movies coming out. We have 2 streaming movies this weekend. We have All the Old Knives, that's coming out on Prime Video. 2 CIA operatives and former lovers, played by Chris Pine and Thaddeus Newton, reunite in an idyllic Carmel by the Sea to re-examine a mission 6 years ago in Vienna where a fellow agent might have been compromised. The movie co-stars Lawrence Fishburne and Jonathan Pryce. The movie so far has been getting some mixed reviews. Some people are saying it's a pretty solid spy thriller mystery movie. Others people are saying that Chris Pine and Dan Newton are pretty much the only good things in the movie because the rest of the movie is kind of a slog. So very, opposite ends of the spectrum. But for the most part, a lot of these movies getting, or a lot of this, the reviews for this movie, a lot of the reviews for this movie are very mixed in terms of whether or not it's good. So it's on Prime Video. I think it is getting a very limited release as well in theaters. But if you just want to watch it from the comfort of your own home, there you go. Netflix also has a new movie called Metal Lords. Two friends try to form a heavy metal band with a cellist for Battle of the Bands. This is written by one of the showrunners of Game of Thrones, D.B. Weiss. So I think it's pronounced. I know I never learned how to pronounce his last name, but he wrote the movie, and there you go. It's a pretty relatively unknown cast. I think there's a few big names. I thought I saw Joe Manganiello in there. Metal Lords. If you want to go check it out on Netflix. There you go. Those are your only two streaming movies out this week. We have two big movies coming out in theaters, both of them already making a splash with reviews, critics, and even the box office. The first one is, of course, Sonic the Hedgehog Part 2, or Sonic the Hedgehog 2. The returning cast, of course, James Martin, Tika Sumpter, Jim Carrey, of course, coming back as Dr. Robotnik, and Ben Schwartz coming back to voice Sonic. Of course, new cast members. We have Colleen O'Shaughnessy, who's voicing Tails, and Idris Elba voicing Knuckles. The movie's made a pretty decent Thursday run opening wise, and it looks like it's gonna track for a pretty good box office. Some people are saying it's really good. Some people are saying if you love the first movie, you'll love this one even more. Some people are saying that it's just okay. So there you go. I did enjoy the first movie. I thought it was more enjoyable than I thought it was originally going to be. So I am looking forward to the second one. And obviously they're expanding on the lore of everything, with, bringing in Tails and bringing in Knuckles and making Jim Carrey, the look of him, of Dr. Robotnik, even more like the video games. We already have part 3 coming. They already announced it a while ago. So there doesn't matter. Paramount's fully on board with the Sonic the Hedgehog movies. And we're going to get a third one, despite how this one does at the box office. Although, again, early signs show that this movie is going to be a pretty big hit at the box office. And the second movie coming out in theaters this weekend is Ambulance. This is the new movie by Michael Bay, his first movie since 2019's Six Underground, which was released on Netflix. Ambulance, of course, about two brothers played by Jake Gyllenhaal and Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who rob a bank, and of course it goes all wrong, and then they hijack an ambulance, and then they're on the run from every law enforcement in Los Angeles from the looks of it. Isa Gonzalez is also in there. She was in Baby Driver. I think that's probably where a big chunk of people probably know her from. She's been in a bunch of other things as well, but a good chunk of things after that. But Baby Driver, I think, is the thing that everyone kind of remembers her from. But she's in there. She plays a paramedic who's in the ambulance with the brothers, and then Garrett Dillahunt, who is a big character actor. He pops up in a lot of supporting roles. I think most people probably at least will recognize his face. He's in there too. Looks like he's playing one of the people in charge of the police going after the brothers, at least from the trailers anyway. Ambulance getting a lot of good reviews. People are saying this is Michael Bay's best, or at least best movie in a while, or maybe even his best movie period. The trailers itself looks like this very chaotic experience. The camera work looks pretty insane just from the trailers alone, so it looks like maybe that's carrying over from the trailers to the whole movie as well. But I'm very surprised that people are really liking this movie. Michael Bay has a track record with critics, obviously with the Transformers movies and stuff like that. He himself admittedly said that he may have made one too many Transformers movies, but I'm looking forward to this. Six Underground was okay. It wasn't the best, but it was okay for what it was. I did enjoy 13 Hours for what it was. I think even there he was kind of playing around with the camera work and stuff like that. So Michael, I love early Michael Bay. I love the first Bad Boys movie. I love The Rock. I love Armageddon. So he was one of my favorite directors when I was young, because he made all those really great movies, and then he kept making Transformers movies, and it kind of I don't want to say tarnished his reputation, but it did kind of make him, the butt of a lot of jokes. But I'm glad to see that Ambulance is kind of I don't know if it's a return to form, but at least he's, it's not, just everyone bashing on Michael Bay for being a Michael Bay movie. People seem to relatively enjoy Ambulance, at least from the reviews that I've seen online so far. So that's it. Those are all your movies coming out this weekend. Ambulance and Sonic the Hedgehog Part 2 in theaters, and then streaming-wise, Metal Lords on Netflix and All the Old Knives on Prime Video. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening to the podcast. I very much appreciate it. That's all I got for you guys, movie news-wise and everything else. So be sure to check out all the links down below in the description/show notes area. If you're listening to this on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below what you thought of the podcast this week and what you thought about particular news item. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, please leave me a rating and review. That helps out the podcast in the long run. And if you're listening to the podcast on Stitch, I have no idea what I was trying to say there. On Stitch or Spotify, I believe there's ways to review the on there as well. I can't remember. I think there was a new update on Spotify that lets you do that. But anyway, if you're listening there, thank you. Thank you for listening, regardless of where you're listening to. So very much appreciate that. All right, thank you guys for listening and tuning in this week. I will try not to miss out too many more weeks. So everything going on work wise. But like I mentioned, I don't think I mentioned it, but I think I mentioned it on the Twitter page. Everything's going to kind of go smooth sailing from here on out for the rest of the year. So, at least for this first half of the year. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. Be sure to check out all the links down below. Follow me on social medias. Those will all be linked down below as well. I am trying to use. So I've been with everything going on, I've kind of been a little sparse on there, but I will be trying to get back on there for a lot of stuff. So. Yeah. All right. I know I'm a bad podcast though, so I apologize. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got for you guys. I'm going to go now because I don't want to waste any more of your time. So, yeah, have a good week. Have a good weekend. No matter when you're listening to this, just, try to be good. Be good people and enjoy yourselves. And remember, as always, go watch some movies.
Whoop whoop! Yeah! Give it up! Movies!